Good morning, comrades. It is a pleasure to see each and every one of you here today. I am Ms. Dana Brown. I am the Director of Industrial Relations. I am also an attorney at law by profession. And with me, I have my understudy, Lindsay Jarvis. You could just give them a little wave. She has facilitated a lot in ensuring that this program was successful today to share with each and every one of you. And I also have our comrade, Jhodyne. Hi, Jhodyne. Miss David, just give them a wave. She's our UNIMED clerk, and she would share a lot of exciting information, new information in relation to our UNIMED plan. So we just want to say welcome to this session. So first and foremost, most of you would have been elected sometime last year. Some of you maybe this year, and you're wondering now, I'm the newly elected education officer. What does NUGFW expect from me? What are my roles and functions? I see we have, and I want us to be very interactive. Yes, my friend from Carrick. He visited my cubicle very early this morning, and I told him I'm extremely busy. So, yes, sir. All right, so we have Tobago, we have the Southern Division, we have Agriculture and Allied, we have Carib, we have Health Section, we have the local government, we have Supermarkets and Allied, Point 14, WASA, HCC, Workers Section, CDA, Arima General Branch, we have Best Street, Defense Force, Republic Bank, and we also have the Lifeguard Maintenance Unit. Welcome. So first and foremost, it is very, very important for us. You see this book? I don't know how many of you have a copy of it when you would have signed up. When you signed up to be a member of NUGFW, this is our constitution, it's our rule book. It identifies the roles and functions of each national executive officer, each elected officers under various branches, and within all these various bargaining units in which NUGFW recognizes. So we have this book. It is very important that you all read it, you read the Constitution, you familiarize yourself with it. It is important also because your role and function as the education officer is to educate, as it says. You have to be equipped with the correct, cogent, and current information so that whenever you all have your meetings, your section meetings, you will be able to be reliably informed and give proper representation to any shop steward, any member that may approach you for some sort of representation. All right. And also your role and function in terms of the education officer is also to be able to collaborate whatever changes are happening out there in your world of work, because many of you all are of different bargaining units, your job spec, everything is going to be different, and it may vary, notwithstanding some of the roles and functions may be the same. But it is really to maintain a good relationship with the communications department, because this year, as we delve into our presentation, we will see where the world of work is actually shifting. We will see new and emerging transitions that we have to be kept abreast as a trade union so that we will be able to know how we will be able to adapt to these changes. All right? So it is very important to read this book, this little cute book. If you do not have a copy of it, this rule book, you can visit the cash shop and pay $15, just $15 to get a copy of it. Right? The pay just run, we could get a little, a copy of our rules and regulations. It's very, very important. All right? Then the next important document that I wish to share with each and every one of you is our collective agreement. This is one of the most popular ones because, as you know, the union represents 12 of the 14 municipal corporations throughout Trinidad and Tobago, as well as the CHA. However, we also have various representatives from various bargaining units And your terms and conditions, while they may be similar, it will change based on the where you function and your job description. All right? This is very important, comrades. You have to understand the role and function of the union. You have to understand the role and function of the employer. You have to understand the promotional policy, because a lot of issues now that are arising is because we have not completed in a timely manner the permanent establishment. And it is very important for you as the education officers to understand how promotion is done in accordance with our collective agreement. And not because it's not because there's familiarity that you would choose to take a particular path to help out this one and help out that one. Because the issue is the persons that are being affected, or the senior workers that are being affected, come to the head office for representation. They supersede your whole section because they fail to do the right thing, and they come to head office, and then there's a whole overturn of what is the correct and the right thing to do in accordance with this document. So it is very important, comrades, to really read in depth. If you need clarification, you always have the communications department. You have the President General's department, headed by Mr. Lambert. We have the first deputy, Mr. Street. We have Mr. Senson, our second deputy, and you have myself and all of our supporting officers, labor relations officers, etc., who can assist. So do not take it up on your own volition. Our duty here is not to pound or to tell the education officers, you know, this is the wrong approach, so that is the right approach. But if you need clarification, you can always stick to call the office of the various departments and seek clarity with regards to the promotional policies, allowances, how certain allowances are paid. Don't take it upon your own initiative to interpret the collective agreement the way you see it fit. Because how you may see it fit is not the correct precedent that is out there. And it is very important for you to understand it so that when the workers come to you or when you sit in your meeting, you are able to properly articulate what is the right thing to do in accordance with this collective agreement. So as I will just have Vinzi move forward with regards to your role and functions. How are you elected? The branch education secretary, you serve for a period of 2 years and you are eligible for re-election. You have to work in tandem, in accordance, collaborate with your comrades. You have to. Don't take it upon yourself to say, you know what, I'm the education officer and this is how it should be. No. We have to work and synchronize our functions together because that is how it works. When things change in your job, whatever it is, because we will delve more into the various current trends and transitions that are happening now in the world of work. When things are changing, it is important of you to come to NUGFW or to send an email to the Department of the Communications by Ms. Parks and her team and inform them that this is happening within my ministry. This is a new policy that has been developed. Is the union aware of this? Is the President General's Department aware of this? And it's paramount
to do so that when the information is being communicated,
it is the correct information. The head office is made aware. It's not a relationship where we have to hunt down officers. What is happening over there? No. And we will see in future, Ms. Parks and her team will implement based on the mandate of the President General and the National Executive to ensure that there's some more synchronization and collaborative efforts between all the education officers throughout all the various bargaining units, the sections and the branches to liaise. There must be some sort of accountability as well. ensure whatever it is, you account for it, you send an email, Ms. Park, Ms. Brown, this is happening in my world of work. How are we to approach this? How do we overcome this issue? You know, so that we can be able to be kept abreast for future training and training programs that we intend to implement within NUGFW. Yeah? So we also have the Education Secretary. All of that is within this little, our cute little book, our maroon book. So I urge you to get a copy of it after this session. So we have the roles and functions, as we intimated, the collective agreement, important. Very important. We have legislation. As we will delve a little more into it. We will see where there have been a lot of changes by the government in terms of legislative changes and the effect that it can possibly have on the daily rated workers throughout all the various ministries in Trinidad and Tobago. We are seeing also policy development. These are things that you must keep and be aware of. We will delve into that where we see a transition with the CTRA, Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority. We are seeing that with the local government reforms. And these are areas that you have to really get that, you go out and you get that information. Some of you may be clerks within the ministry. Some of you may be on the road. Based on your function, you might be a laborer. Whatever it is paramount on you to get that information and understand that these are changes that we have to keep abreast with as a trade union. And how we do that, when you bring that information, we are better able to make collective bargaining, right? When the President General and his team meet with the CPO to improve on what already exists in terms of its terms and conditions. Because I'm telling you, it's not to sound, to bash anybody who sits at, within the CPO's department. But right now, some of the officers there, everything running through a legal department. Every issue in relation to industrial relations is the legal department. Yes, I think I'm not smiling. Yes, the attorneys, as my comrades might say, have their role and function, but we as the trade unions as well, we have our role and function to fulfill as well, and we cannot be left behind. So it is important of you as the education secretaries, as those representatives out there, bring that information. Don't just leave it up to Mr. Lambert or the news or something to highlight that there's some kind of legislative change in this ministry, as what happened with the CTRA, the Revenue Authority, where they totally extricated the union. There was a legislative act that was proclaimed. The authorities already inserted the monthly paid and created, however, that body, that authority, the various organizational structure, and nowhere there, they thought it fit to invite NUGFW, who represents workers, daily rated workers, at the Revenue Authority. So we have a meeting, the President General has a meeting, I believe it is either tomorrow or Friday with the representatives down there. So we have the team building, etc. But most importantly, what I really wanted to delve in today with you is the transition, the new trends, the current trends that we are seeing happening in the world of work. The ILO has highlighted 4 transitions, and it is an area that I recently had knowledge of. It's the artificial intelligence. I don't know if anybody here heard of artificial intelligence. Yeah? I've seen heads nodding. It is not a relatively new phenomenon. However, in terms of the transition, we are seeing it clear. It is emerging within your ministries. It is emerging within your world of work. And the impact of this AI. I don't know if you all notice in KFC now, they have this kiosk where you can make a little order. That is eliminating certain positions. Yes. And recently, I had a conversation with a CEO of our health authorities, and the government as well is looking at ways in which they could insert and implement AI technologies and processes within their system. And you see, it's something that we have to really be kept abreast with, because it is things that are happening every quarter. And if you are not kept abreast of it, we will be left behind as a trade union. That is why it is so important of you to educate yourself, to understand these transitions. What does it mean and the implications of it in your own world of work? We've seen where the EU already implemented an act for the AI, for the use of AI throughout the European Union. And slowly but surely, while we are a developing country, we are seeing where CEOs and persons of a certain status quo in Trinidad, they're really exploring the AI and digitization. Digitization is another new transition and phenomena that is gracing us. And you're seeing it it's there. Look at the traffic ticketing system now. Everything is synchronized into one hub. You're seeing where they have the judiciary, the police service, and the licensing office now. Everything is becoming more and more synchronized. So what that means, the passport, everything computerized. No longer they need a clerk to go and file all these files of documents. No. Bring in an AI system, let it be controlled by this AI system, and you can hire maybe 2 persons to just manage it. Train them in that area, and you're eliminating your clerk, the data entry clerk. And this is what is happening across the ministries. You're seeing also with the local government reform act, the Procurement Act. This is a new act that they recently proclaimed on, where persons must go through the list that the government has in order to procure goods and services. So it is slow, and these are things we have to be kept abreast with, because, comrades, we don't want to be left behind. We want, when we sit and we bargain, there's something inserted within our collective agreement with regards to protection, notwithstanding they have all these advancements, digitization, AI, and all these things, but it must be done in limitation. It must be done in limitation, because we could have very serious effects within our labor movement. I'm also looking at, I don't know if you all notice as well, those who may travel, you have Walmart and these big groceries. Now it's self-checking out. You no longer need a cashier to cash you out. Masses, look, listen. Exactly. Well, but we have this self-checking system. What does that mean for the cashiers? And these are positions that we have bargaining status for. What does that mean for us as a trade union? Because we will be loose. They will no longer have a need. They will make them redundant. We don't have a need for cashiers anymore. Once you have your credit card, you can swipe your stuff and go, you cash out and go. Then they have this new iRobot that the US has recently to fight crime. all of that is artificial intelligence. While it has been out for a number of years, you are seeing the transition from labor, humans, to processes or skills. Even in the US, even doctors, certain jobs are going to be affected. Doctors, the lawyers, because here what they are training now to do medicine and to do surgery with with these machines, you know. So it is very important for us to keep abreast of these changes, these transitions. We also are seeing things such as the informal to the formal economies, such as people like barbers, taxi drivers. How do you treat with the reduction of the workforce, the labor workforce? Maybe it's a new area that we could mobilize as a trade union. We could join them. We could have some mobilization sessions and register the workers as new members to NUGFW. And then we see in the green economies as well, which is affecting us because we are also all these areas you are seeing where, because of the advancement in technologies, the need for people and human, that interaction is slowly dying out. You see in the use of the CNG, gas, electric cars. They want to create a car that could go on auto. I won't say pilot, but something like autopilot, it's parking for itself, and all these things, you know. And we are seeing slowly that some of these things are being slowly introduced into Trinidad, such as the CNG and the electric charging of these cars, you know. So it is important of us, comrades, to educate ourselves in these areas so that when we have our training programs, these are submissions that can come from the education department or the education secretaries and say, you know what, Ms. Brown, Ms. Park, Mr. Lambert, these are changes that we are seeing and we want to propose this in collective bargaining. Because the only way for us to change that is through collective bargaining. In terms of sitting with the employer and you're submitting your proposal. You make your proposal. And it is important to get these information because most of the time we're hearing now, NUGFW sell out. The union sell out. The union accepted the 4%. After Mr. Simpson, Mr. Lambert, they would have had several meetings, general council. Everything is being shared. Well, not everything because the matters before the court, there are certain information that ought not to be discussed loosely. But as a responsible union, the union ought to at least notify and inform the members of what is the changes in terms of the negotiation. So no, comrades, the matter is still at the level of the industrial court. The CPO has yet to file their responses and your union is working for you. We will also just want to delve into some of the programs and the workshops that the communications department has introduced. And this is important because this is an exciting area where you too can be present when we have these workshops going on to make your presentation on whatever changes and recommendations that you think fit for the betterment of your membership, of our membership out there. So we see in 2023, they had a strategic organizing with the fast food workers. That entails all the food, agricultural, hotel, restaurant, catering, tobacco, and allied workers association. That was orchestrated by Comrade Lambert, Nadia Lambert. The communications department also delves into the labor relations introductory course, peer tutoring, where a number of areas were explored, particularly letter writing. It is so important, comrades, because you know, at the level of the basic level, when you take up a grievance, it is so important of you to ensure that the letters going out are, what is that, my dear? Structured properly. It communicates the correct information. It communicates the correct issues that you intend to explore. And it's very important, you know, comrades, because sometimes the matter reaches at the level of our department, Director of Industrial Relations, and when you look at the whole thing, all the issues wrong. Let's have a multiple set of issues, only one thing was captured. And then the 6 months, you know, we have time periods now to deal with things. But these grievances, the 6 months elapsed. So if you're talking about an extension of time now to meet and treat with these issues. So your role and function is very, very critical. So that we could alleviate and we could at least advance as a union as well. You know, ensuring that we fulfill what we have been bestowed to do. We have to ensure we have decent work. They had a local government reform, reinstatement, termination, due process, very, very important. Because most of the times the employers out there want to get rid of an issue and they just terminate or they send them on a suspension. But you have a whole collective agreement that articulates and identifies how an issue is supposed to be treated from the level of the shop steward all the way to the industrial court. So it is important, comrades, to really understand the process in terms of grievance handling, because most of the workers who may come to you is grievances, majority, except those who may be a part of the collective bargaining process. But most of it is in relation to, I get overlooked, I was suspended, I didn't get my allowance. How is the union treating with this? So it is very important of you to familiarize yourself with all the articles here. And it is in basic language, no fanciful, you know. The disciplinary code, very important as well, comrades. So you are able to advise when you sit in meetings, you know your collective agreement. You could advise Article 22, the disciplinary code, how it is supposed to be done, your warning notice, the period of time it should take. It should not take more than 6 months, because when it reaches the 6 months now, everybody running by the President General's department or bombing up communications website. So didn't deal with my matter. I have a matter with the union, and we want to alleviate some of those issues. Yeah? We also see where the comrade in the communications department, a workshop was also held on digitization in the world of work and succession planning. That was in 2022. We also had a mediation session. That was exciting in 2022. We also had fundamentals of collective bargaining, negotiations, and mediation. I mean, they are all related in terms of the terms collective bargaining, collectively as a body against the employer, and not against, but you know, you're making a submission, your proposal, and your discussion. Then you have negotiations, as we could see happening right now with throughout all the bargaining units, because this is something most collective agreements would have either 3-year subsistent period or 4-year period. So every 4 years, that is paramount. That is under ILO, that is under the IRA, the Industrial Relations Act, that I would also urge comrades to familiarize yourself with. It's very unique because there are only approximately 3, I believe, courts, industrial relations courts. Trinidad happens to be one of them that deals strictly with employment issues and employment matters. So it is a nice area that comrades could also read and educate yourself so that you are able to communicate the correct information to the membership out there. And we'll just touch briefly, I mentioned it, but we will just touch briefly on the legislative amendment. I know my sister here in local government, we have had approximately 2 meetings or so, the President General with the Minister, Mr. Alwari, relative to the legislative amendments to the Miscellaneous Provisions Act, the Local Government Reform Act, where we are seeing changes in the roles and functions of the CEO. We are seeing the CPO, the roles and functions of the CPO. Because when something becomes law, legislative, and they proclaim on it, in law there's something called a hierarchy. So that will be on top. But if you have anomalies and gaps with that law and your collective agreement, it means that the drafters went wrong somewhere. So it is very important, comrades, to, especially within the local government, download it, print it out, read it. Read what they intend to bring. I am a pro-active, and I believe in development, but it must also be done in decency as well. Communication with the recognized majority union. As we mentioned as well, we have the Procurement Act, the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Property. And as you can see, it is actually developing throughout all the ministries. So just recently we met with the administrators at the Ministry of Health, and we indicated to them that the workers need to get certain PPE. And now you see where they identify that it's at the Department of the Procurement area, that officer there. So that is also an area that the education, all of us have to be aware of. We have to explore this, and we have to be kept abreast of what is happening. So that you too may be able to advise around the table that no, that is not the correct approach, or they are entitled to X, Y, and Z, especially when it comes to the PPE for workers that we will represent out there, and the health, the medical checkup. It's very, very important. Because these are things that should be happening yearly, especially in some areas like IDCD, where they deal with chemicals and all of that. And the employer, they are not adhering to the collective agreement. So it is important and paramount of you to ensure, especially when it comes to workers' health. Because if you're not healthy, how can you make a living? How can you go out there and work? So it is important of them to ensure that some of these provisions that we have agreed upon as a union and employer, they are adhered to. Then we have the Revenue Act, when they created this whole CTRA authority and how it is governed. Comrades, I'm telling you this so that you could take a little note, you could take a little jot down. If you all want these slides, that can most certainly be, you all can be facilitated with it. Ms. Parks and her team would email it to each and every one of you so that you could have a copy of it. We have the OSH Act, the Occupational Health and Safety Act. That is very important as well, because these are areas that workers experience problems and they come to you and they don't know. Some may not know, right? But it is important to read up on it, understand these functions, understand what is the importance of the OSH itself. The reporting, how the reports are supposed to be done, there's a process And we have to ensure that the employer complies with that, because before you know it, when it goes up to the insurance company, the insurance not covering for that because the employer erred in this area and failed to do so. But you as the education officer now can say, advise, you can advise them where they are going wrong, so that it would alleviate some of these issues that could arise in the future. We also see any national policy that is geared towards violence and sexual harassment in the workplace. This is also a new, relatively new discussion. I wouldn't say it's something new. I think it's materializing now at the level of the Ministry of Labor in tandem with the unions and other stakeholders, civil society, etc. And it's very, very important as well. And then we see the contracting of the services. Comrades, it is very important of you to understand these terms, because sometimes you may see things happening out there in your world of work, and because you don't know, you would not understand that it's a breach that is being committed by the employer. So many of the employers now, while the CPO is deemed to be the employer under the Act, we have the agents out there, all the various ministries. They're contracting all the work under our bargaining unit. So what they do, they would pay them something less, maybe, change their job title, and then proclaim that they are contracted workers. But they're doing the same function as you. And they're doing the same function as your friend who, I don't want to call any names, but out there on the field. And they're telling you, no, those are contract workers. But you know better as the education officer. You know the contracting out the work under the bargaining unit. And this is pertinent information that ought to be communicated at the level of the communications department, so that when we are ready to meet and treat, the union is not blindsided or unaware that this is happening out there. And this is the purpose of ensuring that each branch and each secretary, you all are present here today, and those who are with us online, right? So we could continue to work together as a stronger union. We have to ensure that we have succession planning and proper training so that people understand their roles and functions. We'll just move on very quickly, because I know we have a little time management issue, right? As we touched on earlier, how do we, as a trade union, keep up with these transitions and these trends? And as you see, the first point is through education and awareness. This simple workshop that we have here, I know many of you are probably wondering, you know, what Ms. Brown saying is true. I already see so come in and they're changing the system down in the ministry. Or they're introducing this new, whatever it is, process to deal with maybe procurement. This big hospital we have here, right here next to us, I do know, because we have the RME status for all the daily rated workers, but I know that there are certain advancements, technology and otherwise, that could possibly make some of our daily rated workers, quote unquote, redundant or unskilled. Because some of the job specs that they want to bring to be able to operate their fancy machines, it's probably 2050 vision. But they also work with PAO and all these international organizations as well to make sure that the standards internationally are also met. So it's not doing it for national or regional, but international. That is the purpose of it. So we also, as a trade union, have to ensure that we keep abreast of all these changes. Whether we have to encourage or partner with the bodies to ensure that we upskill our workers, we train them, we retrain them again, because that is very important. Because you have children coming up, you have your grandchildren coming up, and you too, you want to ensure that they are kept abreast with what is happening out there. They're doing it with a purpose, yeah? We also have data-driven decision making, digital literacy, skills development, very important. Because everything now is computerized. I think they shine away so much from this paperwork now. Everything now is computerized. And we have to really ensure that we too are kept abreast and not just remain where we are. Because the world is changing, things changing out there. I can delve into more, comrades, but unfortunately, due to my time constraint, I may have to stop here now and ask Ms. Park to ask question and answers then. Okay. So we have come to the end of our little short presentation and workshop. I am encouraging and we are asking anyone if they have any questions that they may want to ask. I can't believe everybody's shy. Not trade unions. Not trade unionists. I cannot believe everybody here is shy. Anybody want to seek any clarity on any issue? Yes.
Good morning, everyone. I am Ms. Duke from the Arima branch, and I've been longing to speak with a public relations officer. Am I correct? My thing is, where we had an issue at our corporation, two workers arrived for work on the 5th of January, and upon arriving, they were to be reported there at 4 a.m. in the morning. However, they were there at 2:50. While standing outside waiting for the gates to be open so that they can enter, sign the book and start working for 4, they were robbed and one of the workers was shot. I just want to be advised as to how the issue would be looked at. Would it be covered under OSHA or would it be accident and something they call it?
The injury.
Yeah, injury relief. Yeah. So I just want to be advised on that, please.
Thank you. We have had similar situations like that in the past, and it is not one answer to it, because all are interrelated. So you have the OSH, they have their role and function, they have their report that they have to do. The PIRO, where's the report on those things? On that particular day, when the two workers arrive, what are their role and function? I'm assuming they are what, laborers or something, cleaning the market.
Sorry about that. They came out at 3:50 to sweep, but they are laborers.
And in terms of what has the management done? What has the PRO department done thus far in treating with that issue?
They have it under the Injury Act or the Injury
Workman compensation.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it?
So they have where he was at the hospital for a while, and he was sent home and had to go back because the bullet is still in his foot. So he went back to the hospital and he was able to get a fit for work, which is sent to the corporation. And now they trying to organize a spot for him to put him in probably another department or back where he was. So we're still awaiting information from that.
And in terms of his pay and everything, he was paid, etc.
No.
And that is where the issue is.
Because the thing about it that had me shocked is that they paid him a certain percentage and then they have NIS pay him another percentage. And up to now, NIS has not straightened out anything to have him being paid. So I just want to be advised on it because to me, it's like a lockout.
Yeah.
It's a lockout situation. And I don't think that I want to be precise to go with.
Yeah, you don't.
I'm not sure if we have the proper experience to actually deal with the matter. So I want to be advised, please.
Firstly, have you approached Nadia Lambert? She's our supervisor for the ARIMA area.
I haven't spoken with her, but I would know that she has knowledge on the situation.
Yeah.
And what is taking place.
All right. So you could liaise with Nadia, but we have dealt with a similar situation like that in the past. And it is sometimes the employer like to say that is no business of the union because workman compensation is between the employee and the employer. So they kind of try to remove the union's role and function. But it is very important for the union to be a part of that, largely because most of the times they make errors in terms of accounting for his days.
Yeah, so true.
Sometimes
and also the building being open, the work center.
Work center, yes.
Yeah, the work center to be open on time.
Exactly.
To have proper security and all these things. So basically, it's not his fault. He showed up for work. And by being there for the building to be open is when the incident took place. But I think we had instances where we wrote our CEO asking her for police officers to be present at the work center.
Yeah.
And it has started and then it has stopped. So I think that we need to rewrite her or send her back a letter. But as I say, I want to be properly advised as to how we're dealing with the nature of the situation.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially with regards to compensation money, it works.
Yeah.
What he's entitled to. So I will speak with you after, but just for the forum here, the proper process must be followed. And most of the times, employers are not knowledgeable in how to deal with, especially workman compensation issues. So if we don't send up you as the union representative, because the worker will come to you for representation, and you now have to work hand in hand with the employer representative to ensure that the process was properly done. Because you see, sometimes when they don't do that, the insurance company does not pay. And they're telling the worker now, well, hold on, it's going up by, I forgot the name of the insurance. Some of them use a major insurance company. But when they don't pay it because they failed to do something on their end as the employer, it's their duty. It's their duty to ensure you do the proper report. Where's the police report on that? And your follow-up through that means where's your OSH report if the place is unsafe? And when they do not fulfill their end of it, the whole thing falls apart. And then the worker now want to blame the union, and it sometimes turns into a whole mess. You know, how long ago this happened?
January 5th.
Okay, yes. So I would urge you very strongly. So we could liaise after, but liaise with Nadia Lambert, supervisor for the ARIMA office, and she would liaise. We will all work together to ensure that the matter is successfully completed. Okay, thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Health and safety officer, thanks, comrade. Most of you would have that. Hi, good day,
Hello.
everyone. Secretary is the education officer for the DDP, that is Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. I have a question. I've had a situation where a worker got into an argument with a sailor, and it was carried forward to the HR officer of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. We all know that biasness exists in the workplace, but sometimes it could be blatantly seen, or sometimes it could be underlooked. And in the situation, what happened is that the civilian worker had an argument with the Coast Guard officer in the office, and it led to how to put it, a cuss out. I thought it didn't get a language, sorry. It led to a cuss out between the both of them, right? And in the meeting, when I was present, the officer blatantly was being biased. She had given the Coast Guard girl right over the civilian worker, which I find was very uncalled for, because the worker told the officer that what led him to react in that way was of the attitude of the Coast Guard officer, and the HR officer, she didn't want to hear what it is the civilian had to say. She was more interested in the Coast Guard officer. That when the civilian asked her to talk to the Coast Guard officer about her attitude, she was like, no, she cannot talk to her about her attitude. She's a big woman. She can do what she wants. She has to know she have an attitude to work on it. But the civilian staff worker was like, but ma'am, you telling me about my attitude. I'm like, why you can't tell her about her attitude? So I found that was completely biased. And civilian workers working at the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force is blatantly mistreated. Because soldiers look down at civilians as dogs. And in their training, they look down at civilians as dogs, and civilians are not dogs. They are human beings just like everyone else, and their voices need to be heard. So I want to know, how can we go about that situation dealing with biasness in the workplace?
Definitely, as you know, you have a grievance procedure. Sir, you have a grievance procedure in the collective agreement here that tells you when anytime any issue arises in your workplace, there are the steps in which the section and the branches can take, or any member of NUGFW can explore. Article 21. You have your shop steward. You see, once everybody understands their role and function, you bring the information to your shop steward, you all work together, you draft your letter to meet and treat at the first level to deal with whatever the issue is. You're on the right track. Because now you document it now instead of you verbalizing everything with the HR officer. Anything verbal, it could end up in all kind of drama, cuss out, whatever. But as soon as you write, you exercise your right to meet and treat, to deal with this grievance, I'm guaranteeing you, her approach will be different. Because now you have it on paper that there's an allegation made against you as an HR officer in terms of your conduct in the workplace. Yeah? You're welcome. Yes, yeah. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Makeda Walters. I just want to say thank you so much for everyone contributing to our session. Normally people sit a little shy, and it's very nice. You're from Maracas, yeah? Yes, I work on the lifeguard, but I'm a maintenance FMU. Yeah, FMU. If you have sexual harassment on the workplace, you have same thing like what he said, with the same kind of grievances, no one respects no one. You have a substitute. Maybe she knows her right, she don't, right? But the things that they are seeing happening, a worker will curse out the supervisor, will sexually harass other workers, everything will sweep under the mat, right? But these things cannot happen to them. Workers will come to work, it will have a crew of workers to clean the beach constantly. And then it will have some to come, run away whole day, every day, and nothing is being done. Why the supervisor, the substitute, they know the right thing,
but in one click. How would you deal with these things if workers come to ask you certain things, or if it is even being done to you? Because remember, I have a substitute and she is the first person before supervisor and the AO4, AO5. So how to deal with it? Because I don't want to override. Remember, everything is procedure. So I think we need to learn our place because we need to go a little more in depth. Meaning, the educational officer sometimes does end up with things that maybe the substitute supposed to be dealing with. How to deal with that? Raise it, as you say, process and procedures. You have a president of the section. And I'm telling you, once you follow through with that process, you might feel as if it's not going anywhere, but you will be going places with it. And you're documented. You raise it with your president. You all had a meeting, because you all must have monthly meeting, a regular meeting within all the sections. And if nothing within that area, that branch or division has not been done, then you come down to the head office, and one of the officers here at head office would deal with it. That's one part of it. And the other part is talk about what is sexual harassment. That is a very intimate area, and it's also a specialized area. And that's why I do not have any of my officers dealing with sexual harassment in the workplace, because of the ramifications of it. I know that the Ministry of Labor, also headed by Ms. Gomez and her team, they are in the process of implementing and enforcing a policy, a sexual harassment policy in the workplace. I would have to liaise with the ministry, or the union would have to liaise with them to find out how far they have reached in terms of implementation, because that would be something across the board. While there are some collective agreements that may have it, sexual harassment, HIV/AIDS, all these different social aspects of your terms and conditions, this may be a policy across the board. Right? So any issue with sexual harassment, you could just bring it to the head office and we will deal with it from here. Yeah? I went to that on my workplace. I brought it here, and I think that nothing was done due to me, Makeda Walters. No, who you brought it to? Mr. James Lambert. Oh, well, we will liaise with our Mr. James Lambert, and we will move forward from there. Right? Can I ask something with all the union workers here being affected in any way? That's who work in the union. Wait, what you want to ask? You want to ask something in this forum now or after the forum? Yeah, I wish Mr. Lambert was here, but he is not. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. We can always address it after. Right? If the workers have a grievance due to the same sexual harassment and they brought the matter forward, the person who was sexually harassed has now come into the workplace, and the person who is doing the crime is maybe the supervisor. He has been there for years. Both of them is paying union dues. Or they're both daily rated. Okay. It's a little more intimate. Would that be a reason to put things on that mat? No, it would not. I don't believe in keeping anything on that mat, especially if it is affecting how you work and how you perform in your workplace. However, if you have that type of issue, my dear, bring it to myself, Ms. Dana Brown, the director, and we will take it from there. Right? You're welcome. Well, all the time my friend in the corner here, she ain't saying anything, eh?
Morning. My name is Vanessa Patino. I'm the educational officer for AGC. And my friend, collective agreement, get it, learn it, is your lunch, breakfast, and dinner. One more thing I want to add, right? I write to Mr. Lambert concerning training for education officers in CPRE. Right. it was never addressed.
Okay.
And I find a lot of letters are going not addressed, written to the union.
Right.
And a lot of us, like my friends, we out here with no knowledge and we just moving on what we experience or what is we learned along the way, as I should say. Like myself, I just try to read a paragraph every day in my collective agreement. I don't really talk much like, but as I tell you, if you know what you're saying, it cannot win you. And that is what I was winning with all the time. I get in my book and I mark it down. This is hey, I read bad enough. I call my friends to my get to language. I'm not doing that. I sitting down and I writing up myself. Take me to the board. I could speak to the board. Long as you know you're right, you always have them. Try, as all you as the lady say, get a rules book, learn all your rules. Well, you know, I always am war with the union because I feel like,
No, we have a love-hate relationship.
yeah, we
More
have a love relationship because I feel like sometimes, well, you know that, I feel like, as my girls say and my boys say, things just be biased. And I don't like it. I don't like it biased. I just feel my heart does hurt me, so I just rock back. I don't want to end up in no pass out with nobody. You know, I just say, you can make it, but I really would like everybody to get training in Cipriani College. It's very important. I wrote from my section. It was not addressed. I will be writing another letter. I hope every educational officer could follow and write a letter too. It's important. As Mr. should say, the painted ink is better than any memory. Okay? Excuse my little language.
Thank you.
Later.
Thank you. But we could strongly advise my sister is also to carbon copy the communications department. Because many, not I mean not to defend the President General, but many persons approach him. Sometimes he's rushing to go somewhere, or he might be sitting up in his lunch, and you give him a piece of paper. Okay, great, right. So what I'm saying too is carbon copy the communications department because that is their role and function as well to address whatever issues you as the education secretaries and shop stewards are having out there, and they too can communicate and collaborate and getting some sort of solution to whatever it is. Right? So I urge you to also carbon copy the communications and research department, especially with that training at Cipriani that you proposed. Yeah? Yes, yes. I am on par with that.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Sandra Francis. I'm from CD. Could you just explain a little more complete on the Procurement Act? That is okay?
I would love to, my dear, but that is so it's a lot. Yeah, it's very, very in depth.
What it has to deal with purchasing and that type of thing?
Yeah, the government, how they procure goods and services to operate each and every ministry out there. So before they would have things like the tenders or anybody, any contractor could just make a submission and they would take into consideration that. But you have to register now. You have to register with the government before you can even be considered. You understand? To be able to procure for or on behalf of the government. And now you're seeing where you have to have certain qualifications to be a procurement officer within the ministry. So it's very in-depth in that regard. And I urge you to just read up on it. If you need any clarification, you could always come to my office, set up a day and a time for us to meet and speak, and we could address it from there.
Okay,
Yeah?
thanks.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Imran Gokul. I'm from Carglass, both
Morning.
education officer. I know you mentioned earlier that there are changes taking place in every organization, and we should have some sort of communication with Ms. Park and Ms. Brown, are we to directly like liaise with them, or are we to bring our issues to our branch first? Or as education officers, are we entitled to bypass the president and bring our information to the communication department?
Yes.
Yes.
No,
I just want to know the
why I'm
procedure.
smiling is because I understand, I hear what you are saying, but I'm also hearing what you are not saying. The unspoken word. In essence, yes, it's always good to follow the proper protocol. You know, you all have your meetings. You will say, you know, you want to raise this, but always document things in writing. And when you all come and you all meet at that level of your branch and your section, nothing hurts you from sharing that with the communication. If it's something very, very urgent, I would always tell persons you're working together with comrades. It's not animals you're dealing with, it's people. So still inform them that, hey, there's a concern in Carib with regards to X, Y, and Z, because I know you all are very outspoken and you all, you know, there's a very vibrant bargaining unit, right? But I always say follow the little protocols and the procedures. When you have your meetings, you could run it through there and or liaise with Ms. Parks directly.
Okay. The next issue we have, well, this is, we have a
This is a grievance. So this is what I told you, all these collective agreements now boils down to grievances, and it's important to understand the steps in the grievance procedure, because everything I'm hearing here is in relation to grievances, more or less. Yeah? Go ahead.
Just to clarify something, the company is using days from last year to justify a worker if they take a certain amount of days. So if they are getting letters and they're getting suspended, but they're using yes, they're not using the calendar yet. They're taking they're going back from like December, November, and into this year, right? And giving warning letters and suspension. And they say it is progressive disciplinary action. They could use that against the workers. I don't know if you have any.
The thing is, I know you all have your collective agreement, which would be a little different to the central and local government, but we have to delve more into the issue itself. So I need to get more facts to really give you a proper my view on it with regards to that. But usually you have to use your calendar, you use the calendar years and you use your anniversary date. So you have to know what is in your collective agreement. If it runs within your anniversary, some persons come in January, some persons in the middle of the year, it would change. So if yours obviously was the last year, September, October, the calendar year for you would expire October or September, whenever you came in, whenever you commenced your first within your job. So you have to know how to calculate it with regards to that. However, I understand, yes, there's progressive discipline, but everything must be done in accordance with your collective agreement.
Okay.
Everything must be done in accordance, because while you have policies, there are certain internal policies that companies have. You have your collective agreement, which, as I told you earlier, there's a hierarchy of laws. There are certain things that would trump others, and your collective agreement is your Bible, as the lady said. It is your Bible. Study it. That is how you are supposed to be disciplined. Nothing debars them from verbally warning you, you know. But you see, when it goes into writing, because I know the collective agreement in each and every one of them, notwithstanding we have different bargaining units, it will be similar in that regard. In terms of written warning, how much time must elapse? What is the next step? And you're carrying it up the road if need. Yeah?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning, comrades. Pleasant morning for the facilitator this time and everyone. I would just like to ask one question in the sense of the permanent establishment. What debars the administration, along with the union, in doing a timely permanent establishment. And the reason why I'm asking is because I have seen persons retired in positions that they thought not was supposed to have been retired in. And I think that would humbug the amount of severance pay that you're supposed to get. And it's something that needs to be addressed, to be worked on. I've been also exploring the last one, I think, well, the last one the corporation gave to us was for 2018, which I think is way too far back. In perusing, I've seen persons acted as carpenter and as a mason. I've seen a whole lot of wrong-sided things that I think is incorrect. So I'm just asking, what debars the organization from doing a timely permanent establishment? And what can the union do to entice or encourage or to make sure that these establishments are done in a timely manner? Thank you.
Well, first and foremost, we have the political policy or the politics that is being played throughout Trinidad and Tobago, especially when it comes to trade unions and daily rated workers, public servants. That is why the first offer was 000, because in the minds of the politicians who have their role and function as well, this is what they believe unions are deserving of. That's number one. And that redounds now to all the other subsisting elements, such as the permanent establishment, employment, ensuring that the seniority list and these things are maintained. What debars us? Absolutely nothing. Nothing, because the rules, as I said, the collective agreement stipulates when you're supposed to be dealing with a permanent establishment. Biannually, you're supposed to be reviewing these things, and it is causing an effect, a very terrible effect for the union, especially because the workers are the ones that we represent. What I believe the union ought to have been doing, now we have to also take into consideration the COVID-19, right? We were really out of physical work for at least 2 years or more, right? So there was some level of delay in terms of treating with the establishment in one regard. In the other regard, we are hearing things like, we're not employing persons. This is what they tell the union. And then you have politicians go on a political platform and say, no employment across throughout the ministry. That doesn't augur well for any administrator and any union representative or officer who has to treat with the matter. Because automatically it has already created an adversarial interaction with the administrators out there, the PIROs. There are those who will still know here what my mandate. There's a collective agreement that is registered, and we ought to meet with NUGFW every 2 years, biannually. You must have your seniority list and deal with that accordingly. And then there are those who say we can't employ, or we can't deal with the establishment. There are many. In terms of the union, we have really pushed. The reason why that last one, comrade, was signed sometime last year is because I literally reached the stage of threatening, which I don't do, legal action from the workers, both perspectives, from the workers as well as the union. Because everything was a delay. Because if you notice, the union has been doing their due diligence, but we are not a union that glean towards adversaries. We ensure that here what better stand work with whoever is there. Because before you know it, we have a new PIRO active. And the last one who left off, they didn't do a proper handing over. So you have to start back from scratch. So we try to give them the opportunity. So when we go down the road, if we end up in the court, we could argue and say, successfully, the union has done their part to ensure that these lists are dealt with in a timely manner. But I agree with you, comrade, because there are times it is becoming very burdensome now. It is very, very burdensome. Everything is changing now. We have these establishments there. Yes, it's waiting to sign. As you are right. People retiring. You know, they call and say now they didn't have the proper expertise for the people to draft to do the difference in the computation of the people's seven. And then as I go back to the political politics, you have the goodly person who sits in that ministry there to do the computation. All kind of problems. You are defined an instruction from the CPU, who is the employer, to not pay. So sometimes we have to really, and I'm not blaming here, sometimes we really have to try to work together to ensure that, you know, the proper thing is done. My next approach, the last approach, is really for the union to take some of these ministries to the industrial court, especially where it gives us our right and they are breaching it in terms of the permanent establishment. But then the President General is a very intelligent, wise man, and there are reasons that I cannot say right now as to why he would not take everything to the court and make sure that, you know, we give them a chance to really and truly meet and sit in good faith, especially where the permanent establishments are. Yes, Miss, you're welcome. Yeah. Hi. Miss Mark.
Hi, good day, everyone.
Good day.
My name is Roxanne Lewis. I'm from the Southern Division.
So,
And my contribution is not speaking on behalf of anyone but myself. I must make that disclaimer, right? Based on what it is I'm hearing and what it is I've experienced for the few years I've been active in the union and the union body, right? As an executive member.
yeah.
When unionism came into existence, out of the game, and what it is I have seen that the mere fabric of what unionism was founded upon is what is being compromised now. It never was something that we got easy from the powers that be. That is why unionism came into existence to protect workers' rights. Why establishment was formed as establishment, the paper, permanent establishment, the collective agreement and the rule book and stuff is to make sure that the powers that be, whoever is management, wherever it is it falls, keep in alignment with certain policies and agreements in order to have proper resolution and make sure workers' rights are maintained.
Yeah.
So when those things are breached, right? Now, what I come to see, it have to go through a process of industrial courts writing letters, pulling up letters, instead of shutting down everything, take it to the street. That is where unionism started. That is where you would even gotten a voice heard. But every time it is we sign off on certain establishments, as 3 years, as I say, every 3 years we're supposed to have raise a pay and whatever. Every time it is they'll compromise something. No, we cannot just shut down the workplace if it is have policy being breached. Let it go to a process.
Yeah.
You understand? And you have to do it in the lunch hour. And you can't police reach fast as quick as the world.
Yeah.
But unionism, that is not what unionism is. You understand? We never got anything easy. That's why we took to the street and people died to put this in action. So we learned to that compromising of the fabric of what unionism was about, why it is being independent talk about the industry.
Yeah.
When it is, if we have a 3 years and we supposed to sit down and have negotiation for pay increase, no government can get up and say no money, Treasury empty. But even if you have no money to get a back pay, at least raise our pay. Blatantly, they went ahead and raised doctors and whoever has their own self pay. And still, could watch us and say, I want someone to give all your money. And everything in the grocery, it's a consumer affairs, which of course is keep and the grocery people in check, right? As to how things is rate. Anywhere you go, long ago you buy milk, it's the same price as milk. Sugar, flour, the staple goods, oil and rice. The raises as well. And yet, you know, the union have to take a faith. I just tell workers, the reason why they have to be in union, that if it doesn't have any criticism or any downsizing, any disagreement, if the paid union workers is going to get first preference and recognized. So that's why they need to secure themselves as a union. But other than that, it has no real backing for workers right in the establishment. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying it with a most of the passion to a passionate person. I'm not vexed. You know what I mean? I'm upset. It's a difference. That's what I'm saying, because I know that this is what's taking place with the union. And as I say, it could be ruffling feathers me saying this, but I wouldn't be a unionist if I didn't pray to ruffle feathers. Right? But you say, but this is my opinion, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the Southern Division. As an education officer, I took up this work because I felt that the victimization is real when it comes to workers in the workplace. And that's what I'm saying. And a lot of things are not being addressed, but I don't even think it could be, because so much things have done to compromise the fabric of the union, of what unionism is about. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for that contribution. I mean, what she spoke so passionately. Miss Paxson watching me and smiling. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your contributions today. I want to continue to encourage each and every one of you the importance of NUGFW. And I so thank the sister for standing from Southwest Chair and express, those sentiments with us, especially with what we are actually enduring right now, with regards to our negotiations. But at the end of the day, there is a superior being above. And I say, who God bless, no man curse. Notwithstanding, we have our challenges, we fight it. We fight, and some people asking what are we really fighting for? Exactly what the sister stood up there and spoke about. Why not give it a fight? Why not? If we think we are deserving of more. Because let me tell you something, 2% is not any, 2% is what? How much are working out to be? $100 and something for daily rated workers. That is an insult. That is an insult. Then you want to take out no polar. So these are the reasons why the union, our union, is fighting. Exactly. So why must we accept that? And my dear, I agree with you. We agree. Yeah. Another thing too, the union has mobilized to have our marches in the past. Only when the first march is when people wake up and realize when the government would have offered us 0. And that is it. Where are the we have one of the largest unions. We are the largest daily rate union in Trinidad and the Caribbean. And I was supposed to see our numbers. We need that unionism as it was before. We need the camaraderie. Why did government change that? What do you teach for them? What for the union? It's a book for the That is a very valid point, and that is something that you can always propose to the Communication Secretariat with administration. You know, it is a proposal that we could look at. Yeah. Yeah, but comrade, yeah. But comrade, I also want to also highlight to you, just like what comrade Roxanne, Ms. Long said, we have permanent establishments that has not been filled in almost 7 and 8 years. So these people, when people thinking that we have all these union dues, it is really to our detriment, because the persons who's supposed to be in these permanent vacant positions, we are no longer collecting the dues from these persons. They have retired, some have died, whatever the case is. So at the end of the day, I hear you, but we also have to come and work together collaboratively to ensure that the right thing is done, and we can ensure you can't yeah. Yeah. You want to take a mic?
Thank you. I think that within the changes that are being highlighted here today, and we see some of us can clearly see some of the changes, some of us know we can identify the changes that is being made. I think we too, as the union, ought to make changes to a collective agreement. And I say that because it has been a while that I have been observing before a few years gone by, the officers and they, as a member of the union, they would call you to find out, well, what are the steps and how they could go about doing this and that. But now they don't call you again because they too have made themselves available with the collective agreement. They are studying the collective agreement. The ministers in the ministry are studying the collective agreement, and that's how they're finding a way around each and everything. And that's how when you go to a tribunal, so they're coming up with the right stuff. Exactly. Right? They're coming up with the right stuff for the whole. Yeah, it's happening. So I think we need to sit and revamp our collective agreement as well. We need to get it together, or so to speak. And as my sister said here, unionism, as I know since I have been active within this union, it's not as before. People not as willing to come out and, have the shoes ready to be out there and to protest a demonstration. When you say demonstration, everybody, I don't know, they turn their back, they have something else more important to do. But it's always easy to come down on the union than it is to come down on the person that is actually oppressing and depressing him. And I just always tell them that it's easy to come and abuse the President General or any member of the union and tell us that we're wasting time and it's making no sense. But when we meet the oppressor, we hugging them and kissing them and we shaking hands with them, and we need to get it together. We need to know what we want. Right? People ask you about the 4%, and when you explain them that it makes no sense, we need to have work. We need, even though we don't get exactly what we're trying to bargain for, we need to stand up for something and let them know, hey, I am aware that you are trying to deprive me of X and Y. Let them know that we know our worth. Even though you don't want to give it to us, we know our worth and we want to know our worth. I think that is important. And we are the union. We, the members out there, we are the union. It's not just the executive The executive can't go out on the streets alone and do a demonstration. Yes, they can, but that will have no value. It wouldn't make a noise as when we all band together and stand up for the common interest, because some of us have our children, some of us our grandchildren here within the organization, and we need to set the tone. We need to keep the fight alive. This is just my contribution. Thank you.
So without any further ado, thank you so much, Comrade. Thank you so much. So today we also have Ms. Jhodyne David. She's our UNIMED clerk. She's going to share with you and with us some of the developments in the UNIMED plan, and then you all can feel free to ask any clarification. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. Good day, everyone. Thanks. Hi, my name is Jhodyne David-Hollingsworth. I'm the UNIMED clerk for Porter's head office. I just come to share one or two little things with you all. I know you all may know about the plan already. When a worker work after 2 years, they're entitled to join the plan, they and their family, their kids, if you live in common law, you do an affidavit. You have the medical form to fill out. We give you it, or the Arima South branch, they have it too. You can add them to the plan, add the kids to the plan. You do a medical for them, where you could go by a doctor. If you choose to pay for it, they ask you to go to a hospital or health center. If you choose to pay for it, you can claim back for it. They wouldn't pay for that. They pay 80% of the for medical. They pay for dental. Dental is every year, $3,000 per person in your family. Glasses, vision is $2,500 annually. If dental is $3,000 per year. They have the procedures where if you go by the doctor and you have a surgery to do and it costs a large amount of money, you can get a letter from the doctor and email it to M&M, and they will pay the majority of that, and you pay the minority, right? We also have the death benefit. I urge everybody to ask when you're all filling out the cards to make sure and put your beneficiary. It is very, very, very important to put a beneficiary. And if you put a beneficiary that is under 18, that person would not be able or entitled to get the money until they are 18 years. But they do have the form, the physician form and the claimant form. We can give you all it. So carry it by the doctor and get it full out and keep it in a safe place, along with the deceased ID and death certificate. So receive the money. Pardon? No, the beneficiary for this plan. Also, the cost of it is for single. So like if your loan is one person, it's $22.80, and you can add your family, whether you add 67.80, but it's with any amount. Yes, they make sure and add a beneficiary. Make sure and add a beneficiary. And I think that is it. Me losing their ID. That's that. No, you can write a letter. You can bring it to us, or you can send an email to M&M with the letter from that you requested a letter to go to EDC, and they will give you a letter to go to EDC requesting it and what you're requesting it for from the insurer. And any other?
Well, what I do, right? So I know some people they live in common law, or they might either wife and they separate and they want to come and have a change of beneficiary for that. And I have some people who come and they don't want to put a beneficiary. So it's kind of the them and the book. What beneficiary now, please? It's important. We check it on the system. Yes. And once some of the workers not on the system, some of them work at 8 years, 10 years, 5 years, 15 years. They're not on the system. Pardon? I'm a UNIMED clerk for this thing. They're not on the system and they will come. And sometimes some of them is seeing the money coming out on their salary, but they are not on the system. Right? No. After 2 years, the employer from the HR department supposed to give them the orange and white card to follow and add the beneficiary, add the dependent. Right? And they will stamp and sign it back, and they're supposed to send it to M&M, or they send a listing to M&M of these are all the employees where they made their 2 years and they entitled to add to the plan. Some of them don't do it. They don't do it. Right. They do. Some of them don't do it. Some people that come in and correct and so long I pay any money in and you know? Right. No, well, for us, the daily wage workers, government because PSA is for monthly staff. PSA. But they're different to us. They 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 take a little longer. Like a year. Like a year. They take a long one on the plan for PSA. We try to work effective for daily wage workers. Any questions? Any? Raise it? They don't raise it. You can't raise it, honey. It's a flat 2280 or 6780. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, in future, but now it's a flat $2,000. Brilliant. As the director said, maybe when the negotiation is over, it may be. Hi, I have a question. Could you just explain the procedure as far as it goes when someone is eligible for the UNIMED program after they sign the card? How does it where does it go to? Because I have go to a my station where they would have signed the card, we would have sent the information down. Usually we have to send it to our HR department and they would forward it to you. And nothing becomes of it. And then they come to make a claim and they can't get any result. Right. So as I explained before, when you follow the card, the HR department follow the card for the employee, they're supposed to make a listing of all the employees they have. So if it's 5, 10, 15, and they will attach that list with a letter and send it to M&M, saying these are the employees and they passed their 2 years, so they can be added to the plan. Sometimes, some of them when they come in, they already do a claim. Now, you already spend your money and you would like to have back a percentage of it, right? So what I or my other co-workers, that is two of us, what we do is we will take the claim, we'll give you the card, we'll give you all the other requirements after they get it filled out. And we will attach the claims to all the documents and the cards and send it to M&M so they can pay because you have 90 days, 3 months. When you go by the doctor, you do vision. If you don't bring it in before that, they don't pay. Of 18. Okay, step one. If it is you have 3 multiple children on the plan and they under 18, the money will not stop. One. If it's only one child you have on the plan and the child turns 18, if the child is going to school and wants to further the education, they pay up to 23 years. And you have to bring a school letter each year. And about if you'll get a reimbursement, I mean, that's a good idea, but we will have to talk to M&M. Well, Mr. Street and people, they will have to talk to M&M and find out if they can implement that. This last week, the lady came in and it's a while now, the child is 24 and it's the money coming out. Yeah. And that was our only child. Yeah, so she will be reimbursed in pay, but it's when. Any more questions? Okay. Sandra again from CDA here. My HR manager now called me a while ago and gave me a file of letters with names of workers who are working with the organization and they're not on the plan. So she told me to find out if it's either from NUGFW or M&M, what is the procedure going forward with these names that the cards are follow the cards, but I don't know. So I work with it to find out here from CDA, from NUGFW, if they're registered here or if we have to go to UNIMED. Right. One thing for CDA, we don't see CDA staff on the system, so I can check it on the system for you. Right? They consider as new staff. What I can do is I can take a copy of the list and we can call them and ask them to check it for us. And you can leave a contact number and we take it back to you. Thank you. Right? Well done. Pardon? Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. Have a good day.